back. We're talking Jaspers baseball. I am Mark Renee. This is the head coach of the Manhattan College Jaspers, Dave Miller. And Coach, I guess the good news is 2-2 the last 4 games. But now you have 9 losses on the season by 2 runs or less. And that has got to be fairly frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this from a bright spot. You know, at the beginning of the year, you know, we had lost probably our best weekend starter from last year, and then at Texas with Jack going down with the ankle injury, it's just kind of put us one man down. You know, just that one run or that one extra hitter that'll get you the 2 runs, that one pitcher that might limit that one extra run. So, you know, I've been frustrated all year with these close games and coming up on the short end of the stick, but when I look back at how hard these guys are playing, you know, I just feel like, you know, we're just one guy short right now.
Yeah, and if you listen hard enough, you might be able to hear the sounds of the batting cage behind us. Jack Lynch actually taking BP. He's out of the boot. How encouraging is it to see him making at least some incremental progress?
Right before we started this show, the first ball he hit off the tee was, you could just hear that different sound, and I'm like, are you ready? He's like, I'm ready. Can you run? No. so you know, we're still probably 3 weeks out from Jack getting back on the field, but it could be great for the back run of the MAC.
Yeah, well, you know, we still haven't had a home opener.
No.
That's scheduled for, as we tape on Wednesday, tomorrow, weather permitting, up at Clover Stadium against Fairfield. The 3-game series is scheduled, and I know there's not a lot of wiggle room because of everything else going on up there at Clover Stadium to make it up if we do get a rain out. So should we talk about contingencies, or do you want to table that and move on?
Well, you know, it's funny because I've been in the baseball game 40 plus years now, and we're at game 28 and we still haven't been on our home field. So I want to be on our home field. You know, I do know at Clover Field we share the field with 2 other Division III baseball teams that have games this weekend, and I know the MAC has certain rules, so I'm going to cross our fingers for the best, and hopefully we can get them in over there at Clover Field. But, you know, again, I know both administrations today are talking about, you know, possibilities and, you know, what can be done just in case. So, you know, fingers crossed, but, you know, we'll find out.
Yeah, let's talk about the pitching, if you don't mind. It was another fairly solid start for Will Hesslink, his last time out. It looks like he and Darian Rohrbeck are set in your weekend rotation. Connor O'Neill, Tyler Fagler have been a part of that as well.
Yep.
Sorry, Tyler, I'll get it right when it counts, I promise. But talk to me about the rotation and what's happening with that.
With the short week this week, you know, we had our game pushed back last week, and then with Easter this weekend, we are actually going to keep Will on schedule to pitch Friday.
Okay.
And we will have Tyler Fagler throw tomorrow. And then we will have Rohrbeck and O'Neill to split the game on Sunday.
Okay.
But, you know, Will has been the steady, you know, number 1 for us. He's every start he's getting better and better. Last weekend at St. Peter's, he had his cutter working. I think he had 12 strikeouts in 7 innings, six plus innings. But he's been fantastic.
I'm going to fact check you on that when I get a second. Yeah, it was 12 and 6 innings.
Yeah, so he's been fantastic the last few weeks, and honestly, you know, we really need him to step up moving forward. We really need a big start from Tyler tomorrow night. You know, Fairfield is probably right now one of the better teams in the MAC, and, you know, we've got to be ready to go.
Connor and Tyler do not have winning records. In fact, you only have 2 guys on the whole pitching staff right now, and that was shocking to me when I looked at it this morning. But Darian at 2-1, Jack Mahoney 1-0 out of the bullpen. They're the only guys with winning records. How frustrating do you get a sense that the guys are that they can't, you know, flip the records around, given all those close games that we talked about earlier?
Again, it's, you know, I'm trying to take a step back and realize, you know, going out there every day and these guys are competing. We've been falling short on some of these games. Yesterday, 6-5 loss. St. Peter's an 8-6 loss. These are just tough losses. The week before LIU, I think it was a 6-4 or 5-4 loss. It's just, we're figuring out. I mean, right now with our back end bullpen, we have 4 freshmen in Shaw, Packin, Garbinski, and Pudvar who are handling the majority of our work. That's a lot to ask for an 18-year-old kid, and this is going to be great experience for the future. When you look at it, even from an offense, we're starting a catcher at second base, and Nick Plew, because of a couple injuries. We have a freshman now, Daniel Perez, who's our second baseman over at shortstop. We have a freshman at third base. We're young. We're young with some veteran guys who are trying to hold the fort together. Yeah. Again, I'm never one to make excuses, but I mean, I'm trying to take the moral victories where we can to get these guys to understand, hey man, we have all the pieces to the puzzle. We could be a 17-10 or a 15-12. If everybody's there. So, look, again, no excuse. We are where we are, and we've got to work with what we got. And these kids are hungry, and they're playing hard. Myself included, as a coach, I needed to take a step back. And I think one of the things that has been lacking the last couple of weeks from this team is you're a student athlete going out there. You're not getting paid to play this game yet. So I think we've lost the ability to go out and have a little bit of fun. And so we're going to try to take a step back and coach these kids in a different way, and just try to get them to just take that next step forward, to get that extra run or two that we lack every week.
You talked about catchers playing second base, and right at the top of my list today was Josh Radzowitz, who has been like Craig Biggio lately, moving around everywhere, but I guess maybe outfield would have to be next if we're going to complete that trifecta.
Yeah, I mean, Zahan Meyer's out for the year. He was our starting second baseman to start the season. Ryan Ash, who was, our backup third baseman to start the year, then our starting first baseman. Now he's our starting shortstop, filling in for Jack. He went down with an oblique injury. We are just very, very short-handed right now, and it's giving a lot of guys great opportunities to go out and perform. It's just that we're asking them to do it in positions that they've never played before.
He's 2 for his last 22 at the plate the last 6 games, and I'm not calling you out, Josh, I promise, but I'm wondering if a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's bouncing around the field defensively.
100%. I mean, Raz is a kid that we asked him to go out and lead our pitching staff, be the catcher behind the plate that actually goes out and manages it. I don't care what you hit. But when we came back from Hartford, Raz was really locked in, got his average to over 300. And, here's a kid that played, he told me he played second base a handful of games last year for Coach Cole and Manhattan's team last year, but he hasn't played it probably since the 9th or 10th grade. So, we're asking him to do more than we should, but, here's a guy, he's an athlete. And, you ask any one of my pitchers, can you hit? They're going to tell me yes. You ask any one of my hitters, can you pitch? They're going to tell me yes. They're athletes. They're going out and they're doing everything they can to help this team get over the hump and win some baseball games.
Trevor Hansen, on the bright side, 5-game hitting streak. He's 7 for his last 20. I can do that math in my head. That's a 350 clip. What's going right for him that he's locked in like that?
He's just a steady keel guy. He's one that if he's 0 for 4 or he's 4 for 4, you're never going to see a change in his demeanor. And I think he had a little bit of a struggle, getting, now that there's a scouting report on him, he's had to make some adjustments. But what Trevor's doing, as good as any freshman, is he understood where his weaknesses were early in the year. Teams exposed him to it, and now he's going out every day and he's working in the batting cages with our coaches, and he's fixing, his cold spots.
And we talked about the injuries. I'm looking here at the stats for the season, and I noticed Pete DeRocher, Frankie Marinelli, and Trevor Santos are the only 3 guys who've been able to start all 27 games so far. So
And-
that tells you exactly what you need to know, friends,
Well-
is, this team has been decimated.
Well, the funny thing is, two of those three guys are battling and playing with some injuries right now themselves. So these guys are just they're really going out there grinding, knowing how important they are to this team, and they're playing hurt. And I couldn't be prouder of these young men.
Yeah, Daniel Perez had been on a tear. He had hits in 12 of his last 14 games. Well, let me backtrack. Daniel Perez had been really on fire. I looked at his numbers. He had 4 offers the first 2 months of the season. April comes, he's 0 for 13 the last 3 games. That followed, though, a 4-game hitting streak, and before that he had hits in 12 of 14. So is there a fatigue factor that set in for him, or what's happening?
Maybe. I mean, so we wanted to put somebody in a situation to protect Pete in the 3-hole, so we asked Daniel to go from the 2-hole to the 4-hole. I think what Daniel's done at this point is he's trying to change himself into something he's not. We knew in the 2-hole we asked him to get on base, and when we're asking him to get on base, he hit 5 home runs, right? And now he's in the 4-hole thinking I'm swinging for the fences every time, and I think we just got to get him back to work and understanding, you're only hitting in the 4-hole once through a lineup. After that, you're not the 4-hole guy anymore. You're just a guy in a lineup. So, just go up there and just do what you've been doing all year. And so he's now starting to put a lot of pressure on himself. I know he struck out to end the game yesterday. Nobody felt worse than he did. And it's just, it's the game of baseball. You're going to have your ups and downs. That's why this game's so hard. We'll get him in the cages today. We'll try to get him right. But, he's been a guy that all year for us has been the guy. And so we'll ride or die with his highs and his lows.
And one more thing before we get into the scouting report on Fairfield for the next 3 games, and hopefully the home opener tomorrow. My fingers and toes and everything else I have that can be crossed are crossed. I've noticed a trend that I'm sure you have too, but there have been a lot of what I call give back runs, where you'll score in the top of an inning and immediately whatever team you're playing, the opposition has answered, and it's usually a 1-for-1 ratio, but obviously that's not happening enough because you're getting outscored, and 19 losses in 27 games tells that story.
We talk about it all the time. A shutdown, how important a shutdown inning is after an inning we score. Like when we get the momentum, nothing will keep the momentum or get the team rolling in a very positive direction. And going out scoring 1 or 2 runs, and your pitcher going out and giving up a 0, getting a 0. And so again, we talk about the shutdown innings, we talk about the free base war. We want to eliminate walks, hit batters, errors. We're just a team right now that's, we're fighting ourselves. We're trying to find an identity. We're trying to stay positive. We're trying to have some fun. Sometimes it's hard to do all that stuff when you're constantly falling on the short end of the stick in the win and loss column. So again, it's up to me to keep this team up. But it's something that we preach every day with our pitching staff is go out, throw strikes, no walks. Trust your defense, and yesterday we had Babel out there pitch. I was hoping he would go out and give us 2 strong. He went out into the 5th, limited walks. But I'm okay if they're putting the bat on the ball and giving ourselves a chance to get outs rather than walk the guys around.
Right, and defensively, the average is under 2 per game now in the error column, and it hadn't been there for a long time.
Yeah, well, I guess that's a positive.
Again, it's not necessarily what you want, but
no.
it's incremental progress.
Yeah. Every day we go out there and like right now the kids are in the cages trying to get better. It's the one thing I'll give this team. They want to win. They're hungry. It's just we've got to clean some things up.
And you talked about a couple of weeks ago, and it's been sort of a recurring theme, that they need to learn how to win.
Yeah.
The fact that they've gone 2-2 now the last 4 games has to help at least a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's just like, I don't like to use the term, I won't use it, but like when you get a lead, we have to add to that lead. So we talk about you have to start really punishing the other team. Like just, the more runs we can keep scoring, the more demoralized the other team will be. And we've just got to become a team that isn't satisfied with that one run. You know, right now our power game has been down. We've had to walk, and you know, we're doing things that we're not used to doing. A lot of bunting, a lot of hit and running. You know, just trying to figure out how to score. You know, get a crooked number up there in an inning. You know, until the bats come around.
Well, I think if you can get some decent weather up at Clover, and that short porch 314 feet away is going to be very tempting in right field, and I think your guys will be able to find it, and the power numbers will certainly look better.
I think from Manhattan baseball, it's just going to be a good feeling to get home.
Yeah.
To get home. 28 games on the road is a lot to ask.
That is definitely a lot. And it's the little consolation to you, but I did a softball game yesterday, 1-1 to the bottom of the sixth. Home team put up 6 runs, took a 7-1 lead to the 7th inning, and lost 8-7. It was horrifying. So I know what you're going through. Yeah. Even though I'm not there in person to see it, I've been watching it from afar. Let's talk about Fairfield. You talked about them being one of the better teams in the conference. What's the scouting report on them?
They hit. I mean, they're hitting over, I think they're hitting 311 as a team. They got good power numbers. We're going to have to pitch. We're going to have to play defense. I mean, like, you know, again, it's going to be a battle. You know, while we're trying to figure some things out, you know, they're out there, they're rolling. So, you know, we have to ask Tyler and Will and Darian and Connor O'Neill to go out there and step it up. And, you know, from an offense, you know, guys can't be satisfied, you know, with that one hit. They've got to go out. We've got to grind out at bats. You know, we get to 2 strikes. We've got to put the ball in play. We've got to create havoc. But this is going to be a very competitive weekend for us, and we've got to be ready.
All right, wrapping things up here on Talking Jaspers Baseball, the 3-game series coming up against Fairfield this weekend. We hope to join you tomorrow night, 6:30 on GoJaspers.com and on MaxSports.tv. We'll be there at some point. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be Friday, and if it's not tomorrow and Friday, it'll be Saturday. But we're hoping to get all 3 games in under the lights at Clover Stadium. Last thing for you, new basketball coach named, John Gallagher taking over. What advice do you have for him? You're a fairly new guy here on the staff, too.
I'm still too new to say anything about Manhattans. So, you know, all I know about John is he's a Philly guy. He's from Delaware County. You know, Delco has a special place in my heart. So I look forward to meeting him. I've had a conversation with him over the phone. He's really excited to get here and get to work. You know, with what happened with Rashawn, it was tough. You know, we all loved Rashawn and we wish him the best. But, you know, it is what it is right now, and we got to get behind Mr. Gallagher.
Philadelphia invading Riverdale.
Nothing wrong with that.
And in fact, your Phillies are flying across the river right now as we
They took one last night, I think.
Yeah, going for a series win this afternoon at the stadium against the Yankees.
Listen,
I'm not going to wish you luck.
Born and raised in Philly, but the more I'm here, I'm becoming a New Yorker.
All right, but root for the Mets and not the Yankees.
That's right.
Yeah, we're both going to get in trouble now.
Yeah.
Dave Miller, the head coach of the Manhattan College Jaspers baseball team. I'm Mark Renee. We've been talking Jaspers baseball. We'll see you next week.